Z. On today's show, we are interviewing Dwayne Clark, a man who's been able to grow his business to 30 locations, 2,000 staff members, and 60,000 residents. And on today's show, he's going to teach us how to build a business with incredible customer service. But he's also going to share with us about his good friend, President Bill Clinton. His good friend, almost President Hillary Clinton. It'd be the president's wife, First Lady Hillary Clinton. His good friend and his rap battle partner, Macklemore. His good friend, Howard Schultz. See, this guy knows everybody. He may, in fact, be in charge of the Illuminati. Z, today's guest is none other than Dwayne Clark.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we are interviewing a man with a plan for 30 locations, 2,000 staff members, and 60,000 residents. Dwayne Clark, my brother from another mother, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I'm looking for you to give me a little bit more energy, Clay. Can you pump it up a little bit?
You get to pump it up.
Fantastic.
I'm excited. I'm excited that you're excited. There's too much excitement. It's amazing. Our brains may explode. Now I'll take the room down here a little bit. Okay. So you have a very successful company now, but could you share with the listeners what you do for a living and what you do and how you're able to serve 60,000 residents, 2,000 staff members, 30 locations? Share with the listeners about what you do.
Yeah, so we own a luxury senior housing company. We have actually 32 locations, about 2,500 staff. We have served over the course of my career 60,000 residents. We don't serve all of those right now. We're a real estate company and an operating company. We're approaching about 3 billion with a B real estate holdings, and we have about 650 million in development construction right now. So, and we've been voted as one of the best companies in the country to work for. We were at Glassdoor top 50 last year. Been voted best company to work for 12 times, and a very progressive culture.
And will you share with the company, the listeners, one more time the name of your company, just so I know some folks at home are Googling right now?
Sure. The company is called Aegis Living, Aegis Living.
Now, I don't know if this is, again, Andrew was getting me the show notes, and I've been doing some research, and Andrew has a question for you. He says, it is a luxury living, or kind of a luxury retirement center for folks. Do you still feed the residents' dogs organic lobster? That's a question. I don't know.
Oh, Andrew.
No,
I'm just. No, it's been out loud. No.
Okay, I didn't. Okay. Now, can you explain what luxury retirement living is like? What does that look like? Some people out there can't relate to that. What does that feel like?
Well, the best way I can explain it is, when I got in this industry 34 years ago, no one wanted to go in senior housing. And the reason for that is the stigma that existed with that. You'd go in and there'd be smelly rooms and fluorescent lights and cold, sterile floors and, people walking around in nursing uniforms and so on. And so no one wanted to live in there. And so we, with the grain of America, we saw this incredible opportunity, the tsunami of aging that was coming our way. And we said, well, let's not only make it a place that a 75 or 80-year-old wants to move into, let's make it a place that if you were 55, which is really our resident's daughter, that you would say, I want to live here. And so what kind of things would we have to do to make that happen? So we were very, very creative architecturally, programmatically. In fact, the last 3 years, we've either won the best architectural designer, been the runner-up. Never happened before in senior housing. And so we started building what our versions of Four Seasons Hotel is in senior housing. And so if you come to one of our buildings, it would look very much like a luxury hotel. A beautiful lobby. We just opened a building on Aegis of Mercer Island here in the Seattle area. It's got a 35-foot waterfall, 35 feet across, about 25 feet high, right outside the lobby. I mean, it's huge. And but we have spas in the building, so you can get Reiki, you can get reflexology, you can get Swedish massage, you can get alternative kind of healing massage in this. We have indoor swimming pools. We have a bistro. We have your own liquor cabinet if you want to have wine or your own liquor in your own liquor locker. Private dining. We have chefs.
I was going on your site and for preparation, and I was looking here. Do you have the Ventura property there, Ventura, California, Shadow Ridge? Yeah. Nice places. And I filled out the form, and I told them I'm 38 and feeling great, and I'm moving in, and I haven't got a call back yet. Is there an age limit there? I mean, can you move in at the age of 38 there? Is that a...
Well, I tipped him off, Clay. That was the thing. I let him know you were coming.
Okay.
No, well, there is an age requirement. We are licensed by every state that we operate in, and there's a minimum of 55 years or older.
I knew there was a catch.
Yeah, I would say the average age though is around in the early 80s, because most people will want to stay at their own home as long as they possibly can. In fact, that's one of the issues because most people get healthier when they move in because they have oversight, they're eating better, their medications checked on time, they have community. And most people wait too long to move in.
On your website, you talk about how at one point you were working in the industry and you were just horrified by the living conditions of what you were seeing all around you. Can you share that story and when you had your epiphany to take retirement living to the next level?
Well, the earliest epiphany was probably when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and my grandmother broke her hip and had to go into a nursing home. And my grandmother was a really brilliant businesswoman. She owned like 3 businesses by the time she was 35 or 40, spoke 4 languages. And we're talking in the 1930s. And she broke her hip in the early 70s, went into a nursing home, and they treated her like, I don't know, a 3-year-old child. And I thought, wow, this is my grandmother. She's really smart. She speaks all these different languages. She was the CEO of a company. Why are you treating her like a child? So I think that was an early impression that I had before I was even really a teenager. And then, as I started to get in the industry, I started looking around and saying, we're building these buildings that no one really wants to move into. They just don't. The food's bad, the aesthetics are bad, the staff is bad, the programs are bad. When I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the programming consisted of what we called the 3 Bs: Bible study, birthdays, and bingo. And that's a pretty boring life. So we have our own Woodstock where we bring 850 people and have 5 bands, and we've had residents that were at the original Woodstock. And we put on our own Woodstock in the park. We had our own Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
So, we do things that mainstream, modern 50, 60-year-old people would do, not just necessarily 80-some-year-old people.
Now, your business is doing well, obviously, and I know that the overnight success usually comes after a decade or more of just maniacally obsessing. And I feel like I have read, and I've slept since then, but I feel like I've read that you obsessed about Starbucks and Nordstrom's for a while there to really learn from their business models. When was this obsession, and how long did it take you to build the company that we now know?
Well, we just celebrated our 22nd anniversary 2 days ago.
Wow.
And so, I live in Seattle, and Seattle's got an incredible service culture. In fact, I'm writing a book on it. And if you think about the companies that were started here or founded here, not too many people know Amazon was started here, Starbucks was started here, Nordstrom's was started here, Microsoft was started here, Zillow was started here, PACCAR, Kenworth Trucks. I mean, you can go down the line, Boeing, just down the line in terms of the major corporations that were started here, Costco. And many of these CEOs were my friends. And, when I started Aegis in 1997, I would go to the Howard Schultz of the world or, the Costco executives of the world. And I would the Nordstroms, and I would say, how did you do this? How did you, obsess with service, and how did you scale, and how did you get your products launched, and so on? And, it was never one thing that like, well, we came with this super secret product and that was the cool thing. It always came back to one thing. And that one thing was people, and how you treat people, and how you hire people, and how you develop the curbs of the culture for people, and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And so I knew when I started Aegis 22 years ago, we wanted to be an employee-first company, meaning that we put our employees even in front of our customers. And I can remember I had a partner when I first started the company. I remember being at a meeting where we were trying to raise capital because my business is incredibly capital intensive. And he was a guy that came from the finance kind of construction background, and I was an operator. And, we were talking to these VCs, and he looked at me, he says, tell them how much money we're going to make. Tell them how much money we're going to make. And I started to riff on what a great employee culture we would have. And, I thought he was going to blow a gasket, and we had a meeting in the hallway, and he said, do not talk about that stupid stuff. Tell them how much we're going to talk about, we're going to make. And, my comment to him was, well, you don't really understand. If we build this incredible culture, if we are an employee-first company, if we treat each and every one of our employees with great dignity and respect, empathy, we will make a lot of money. We will be a great company. So, that's what I learned from those great companies: Costco, Nordstrom, Starbucks.
Let's talk. Let's go off the reservation. Let's talk about Howard Schultz for a second. I read his book, Pour Your Heart Into It, and love that book. And then I read when he came back. When he left and he came back. I read that book. Great writer. Great entrepreneur. This is not a political show, but is he going to run for president? Is it going to happen? For sure. It's going to happen.
Well, I know Howard very well. I've talked to him about running for president. And I would say it's on hold right now.
On hold. Okay. Just because he is, whether people like Trump-tastic or not like President Trump or like Howard Schultz or not, I love anytime you get a business mind, in the White House. I love that energy. For you right now, running your business, you've already achieved so much. What do you see? What is your goal for the next 18 months with Aegis? Are you looking to open up many, many more locations? Are you wanting to become president? What are you wanting to do?
Well, I'm not wanting to become president of this country anyway. But I do think private citizens can do a lot to change the world. But let's go on the scale of the company.
Got it.
We just our current president retired here in May, and we brought in the former president of Starbucks, a guy named Chris Anskove, and he was with Starbucks for about 15 years, oversaw $19 billion in revenue, about 30,000 staff in North America, and he's become our new president. And we didn't bring him in to stay the same. We brought him in to scale. But we're into smart scaling. We're a private, family-owned company. That's, our biggest thing we want to do is create an incredible legacy and incredible service to both our staff and our customers. And so we're very selective about the sites that we get. Where we build, we're very smart about that in terms of, the economics of that area, where it's going to grow. We, 22 years ago, we picked two cities as our major growth areas, San Francisco and Seattle. If you looked at what's happened to those two cities in 22 years, I mean, we look like, a soothsayer. I mean, Seattle has just exploded. San Francisco the same. And so we're very smart developers about where we develop. So we have a plan that we essentially call the 70 by 70 plan. I just turned 60. So in the next 10 years, we're going to try to get to 70 properties. We're about 40 with the ones we have in development now. So that's 30 more in the next 10 years. So not incredible fast development, but each one of these buildings will make 10, 12, 14, $15 million for one building, and some of size 18. So, you add 10 or 30 new buildings, you're talking about a significant amount of revenue.
I think a lot of businesses get excited, Dwayne, about customer service. They go to workshops, they go to seminars, they get a book, and they're going, yes, I got the book, customer service, Nordstrom's. Yes, I'm going to do it. They visit your facility. They go, I am going to build the next Aegis of my industry. I'm going to just dominate. Yes. Then they take that checklist and they hand it to their front desk guy. Never the front desk lady, but the front desk guy. We'll call him Skylar. And Skylar goes, you say, Skylar, did you clean the bathroom? And Skylar says, what again? And then you say, Skylar, did you clean the bathroom? And Skylar says, oh, I forgot. Could you remind me maybe tomorrow, boss? And I see all these bosses running around trying to remind their employees to do basic tasks. And then I see companies like Chick-fil-A and Starbucks and your company dominating. Help us bridge the gap between wanting to do excellent service and actually doing it. Where does small businesses and big businesses get it wrong? Where do they drop the ball?
Good. I'm glad you brought that topic up because I'm passionate about it, and I've written books about it, and so I'm going to give you the secrets. So first of all, if the CEO, the head of your company, is not incredibly passionate about the lifestyles of his employees, the working conditions of his employees, you're toast. You're really toast. Because when we made the Glassdoor Top 50, all kinds of people calling me, can you come to my company? Can you teach? Can you tell me the secrets? Blah, blah, blah. And unless the CEO called me, I would say, you're dead in the water. And they'd say, well, I'm the vice president of operations or I'm the head of HR. What are you talking about? I said, have your CEO call me. And if I can feel his or her passion about making this change, about doing incredible service to your employees, you're toast, because it's really got to come from the top. You've got to put as much energy and enthusiasm into delighting your employees as you do, creating a fantastic bottom line. So that's first and foremost. The next thing that you have to do is you have to understand the world in which your employees live. What's their day-to-day like? What's their family life like? What's their neighborhood like? What's their kids like? All those types of things. So you have to have a tremendous amount of empathy, and you got to do a tremendous amount of study. Now, if you look at the typical line staff, and a person that works at Chick-fil-A or Starbucks or nursing home or retirement home or whatever, they're making anywhere from, depending on the state you're in, $12 an hour to $17 an hour as minimum wage. They've never been to more than 3 states. They probably couldn't identify New Jersey on a map if you paid them. They've never had a passport. They probably come from a one-parent family. They probably have a high school education or a GED, and you can go down the line. And this is the profile of the people that are working at online positions today. So you have to recognize all of those things and say, how am I, as the CEO, as the company, how can I be accretive to their life? Can I help them out with daycare? Can I help them out with getting their daily needs met? So one of the things, we give food for $1. Now, not only to the employee, but if you want to take home food for $5 for your family, for $5, and I'm not talking, a hot dog. I'm talking a full, 3 or 4 course meal for 5 people. It's $5.
Wow.
Because, food is important to people. And if you just worked a 10-hour shift and you're tired, you don't want to go home and cook for an hour. So you can take home, the chef prepares it. You pay the $5, you take it home. So that meets that need. Let me tell you a couple other things. Every executive on our staff is responsible to constantly, and I'm going to emphasize that word, constantly advocate for our employees. And what does that mean? Well, if that means you go to the dry cleaner that you use every week, you ask the dry cleaner, hey, can you give our staff, shirts dry clean for 80 cents instead of $1.25? Sure. If you go to the bank and you're talking to your banker, the CFO, hey, can you give our staff free checking? Oh, sure. Well, you start doing this on a weekly basis and you start accumulating these batch of benefits. And we call those the soft benefits. The hard benefits being the medical insurance, dental insurance, and those things like that. The soft benefits, if you can accumulate, hey, we give away movie tickets or gas cards, or we got discounts on your pharmaceuticals, or, we can get over-the-counter drugs at half price, or, your Christmas turkey, we can get it for 25 cents on the dollar. Whatever those soft benefits are, then the employee starts to understand, okay, you are an advocate for me. You care about me. You have empathy for me. Now, Clay, you may be saying, well, Dwayne, I asked you about service, and you're really talking about staff loyalty. Those two things go hand in hand, because the point of service, and what I mean by that is the person that touches the customer every day. You can be the smartest CEO in the world, but that's where things break down. The guy at the cash register, the guy at the front desk, the guy, the bellman at the hotel. That's where things break down. So you have to figure a way to delight that person in such a passionate way that they light up and go, I can't fail my boss. Okay, this is a marriage. This is a relationship that you say, I feel so good about this company that I can't let it down. And that's what Ritz-Carlton does. My staff went to the Ritz-Carlton Academy, saw how they led. That's what Four Seasons has done. I mean, I talked with this Four Seasons CEO. That's what they do. They develop this culture of service that if you don't comply, you're outside the curbs of your culture. And so it's kind of like the Sesame Street thing, where they used to say, which one of these things is not like the other? If you really define your service culture, then your staff will be the self-auditors. They'll go, oh, well, that person's not in a clean uniform. Oh, they didn't press their clothes. Oh, their name badge is not on. The bathrooms always have to be cleaned at 5, and they're not. So you develop a culture of service that has an expectation, but you have to show that empathy first and be an advocate for your employees. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And there's a book called The Service Profit Chain written by the Harvard Business School. And in that book, it kind of makes a timeline or a chain, the service profit chain. And it shows that first off, you start off and you want your whole team to be obsessed with quality. And then when the team has pride that everything they do is awesome, you move on down the timeline. Now the employee satisfaction sets in. And then once the employees are satisfied, they tend to stick around longer and they tend to love working. So productivity goes up, loyalty goes up. Then customers start wanting to come back because they're happy. And it's this virtuous cycle. And what I see sometimes, Dwayne, I want to get your wisdom on it, is I see a business owner that will buy a business and it has maybe 10 to 20 really happy employees. But there are 2 people that just hate quality. There's Captain Sarcasmo. The guy who doesn't want to be there, but he has the courage to complain, but not the courage to no longer remain. He won't quit. He just keeps showing up but complaining. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do when you go into a situation you recognize we have a great team here, but we've got one bad player? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I formed the company 22 years ago, I created some books that were mandatory reading. And I said, you have to read these books so you understand our culture and what we base our culture off. And one of the books was called The Oz Principle. And the Oz Principle went into talking about that very employee. And that negative Nelly, the guy that gossips, the guy that complains about the company, the guy that talks bad about people. And they called that behavior below the line behavior. So when people come into our company, they're indoctrinated on the Oz principles, and they're talked to about below the line behavior. Now, one of the covenants of below the line behavior, if you hear someone talking bad about someone else, you need to call them out. You need to say, you're exhibiting below the line behavior, and I would suggest you go talk to that person directly. And so the culture becomes the audit tool for the negative Nellies. And if somebody's, griping and complaining, the positive employee has a responsibility, because it's not the CEO that protects the culture, it's the everyday employee. And that's what I tell everybody every day. Hey, it's all 2,500 of you. It's not me. So you have to go to that person and say, hey, that's not what we do here. You're being below the line. And that statement means something. If somebody's told they're being below the line, it's like, oh my God. Okay. That's a bad thing. And so they're either shaped up or shipped out. We just say, hey, we invite you to go join the competition.
We invite you to go join the competition. That right there is a hot line. I'm putting that down right there. That's good. We invite you to go join. Did you come up with that? Is that your own move, or are you?
I've said it for so long I can't remember where it's come from. Probably 40 years. So
I'm going to give you 2 mega points, and those are redeemable.
All right.
You're redeemable. We're not really sure where yet. Just go into Ritz-Carlton, see if you can redeem your mega points for a night stay.
I got mega points, man. Can I get an upgrade?
Right. Okay, we've had a few thrivers that have started referencing mega points to ask for free things, and it's funny because sometimes companies are like, "Sir, if you have a mega point, I guess." So we'll see what happens with you. So now there are things that you do, little micro habits that are necessary for long-lasting success. Little things that you're doing on a daily basis that kind of, if all of our listeners would apply these moves, they would have some success. And you also have a few idiosyncrasies, I'm sure. Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. Barack Obama committed to not meeting new people once getting in the office for a while. You have so many idiosyncrasies. Mark Zuckerberg likes to wear the same thing all the time. Elon Musk has bizarre eating habits.
Let me start with an idiosyncrasy.
Yeah.
I keep my office at 62 degrees.
Yes.
And let me tell you why I do that. I'm a big person on efficiency. And when people come into my office, a lot of times people, they'll want to, when they lean back in the chair that's in front of my desk, go, let me tell you about the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And, and that turns into a 40-minute conversation that goes nowhere. So I keep my office at 62 degrees.
Oh, yes.
People don't like it, but I run hot, so it doesn't bother me. And guess what people do? They have really efficient, effective door jam conversations with me. So they'll come in halfway in the hallway, halfway in my office. Hey, Dwayne, I just want to tell you, this happened today. We're on it. It's 30 seconds. It's to the point. Here's the action. Here's what I'm doing about it. Do you have any input? No. In and out.
That makes me cry. That is so good. Real quick, can I celebrate real quick? Can I celebrate? Is that okay?
Celebrate it, man. Celebrate it.
Yes! That's a mega move. 62 degrees, baby. Short conversations, more compensation, getting things done with my brother from another mother, Dwayne Clark. Oh, it made me cry. That was so good. That is hot. Yeah. What else do you have? Give us more.
Well, I think, I think one of the things that aspiring business people or CEOs often forget is really how to take care of themselves. And you're the machine, man. You are the machine. So you have to develop practices and things that you do. I'm 60 years old. I can't work like I did when I was, started the company when I was 38. And so, I have religious I meditated for 22 minutes this morning. I meditate every day.
What does that look like when you're meditating? Well, some of the listeners want to know because I think when listeners think of meditation, they're thinking of you sitting in a sauna, listening to music like this while reading Bob Dylan poetry. What exactly does meditation mean to you?
That sounds pretty good, but that's not the way I do it. So I do transcendental meditation, which you have a mantra. I took, a 5-day class, and what happens for me is, I often say CEOs are trying to park 8 cars in a 3-car garage. And, when that happens, your mind gets really cluttered, right? We're busy dudes, and we have a lot going on in our brain.
True.
So every morning, I want that brain to be washed out. I want it to be clean. I want it to be clear. And that's what allows me to get into a really creative and effective space. So I kind of clean the garage out, and that's what meditation does. I have a mantra that a mantra that every morning I sit, and you don't chant it out loud. It's all done in silence. And my wife tends to do it with me. It's more powerful when you do it with more than one person. and that starts my day. And
can you share with us what your mantra is, or is it a secret you can't share?
Yeah, you can't share. That's one of the vows that you take. That's only your word. But I'll have to give you a mantra.
Can I cue up Andrew's mantra? Can I cue up Andrew's?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Now, here's the thing. Andrew and I, we've been working through some things, and we have two things we're working through. One is thou shalt never, ever ask a guest if they feed their dogs organic lobster. That's one rule and then the second is that this right here cannot be the mantra. So I'm going to cue this up, and then you can tell Andrew what's wrong with this mantra, okay? Just about a 10-second clip of Andrew's non-trans. This is like Andrew's transcontinental meditation. Okay, so here we go.
A lot of pressure. You got to rise above it. You got to harness in the good energy, block out the bad. Harness, energy, block, bad. Feel the flow happy. Feel it. It's circular. It's like a carousel. You pay the quarter, you get on the horse. It goes up and down and around. Circular, circle, with the music, the flow. All good things.
What's wrong with Andrew's non-mantra?
He's not feeling the flow, man. Feel the flow, Andrew. Come on.
Come on, you gotta feel the flow.
I'm going to send you a T-shirt called "Feel the Flow."
Feel the flow. Feel the flow. Now, okay. So, do you have another idiosyncrasy or another super move? I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, I think I can't get this book off my mind that I just finished reading this morning, and I'm going to tell you about it because I think it's kind of an idiosyncrasy. But Have you read the book called "Happiness Advantage" by Sean Anker?
No.
Oh God, I have a friend. I don't know if you've heard of Mod Pizza, and he started Mod Pizza, and he's read this book and handed it out to a bunch of his buddies. But this book is written by this guy named Sean Anker who went to Harvard, and he found out that most Harvard students are miserable. And he got the scholarship to go to Harvard. He's like, how can you be miserable? We're at Harvard. Isn't it the greatest institution in the world? And so he started going into this great study on happiness. And what he found scientifically is that, the plasticity of your brain is malleable. And so if you can think about happy thoughts and happy actions and things that you do, you can actually reprogram your brain. And so one of the things that I try to do is bring joy and happiness to our culture. One of the most successful programs that we have, I'll just tell you a brief funny story. I was talking to a line staff about 4 years ago, and I said, well, where are you heading to? She said, I'm going to go buy a lotto ticket. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not a gambler. What's your chances of winning? She goes, it's like 1 in 30 million. I go, well, why would you do it? She goes, it's fun. So I went back and I started thinking, what if we had our own lotto in our company? That would be really fun. So I went back, I got all my C-suite guys in the room. I'm like, hey, what do you dudes think about having our own lotto? And they kind of went, oh, man, what are you on? What have you been doing, Dwayne? And so for about 2 months, I would chase people down the hallway. I'd go, hey, I want to talk to you about the lotto. And they'd run the other way. They're like, oh, man, the boss has lost it. So finally, I got them all in the room. I go, hey, we're doing a lotto, and this is the way it's going to work. For every year a person's worked, we're going to give them another ticket in the lotto, so they get another chance. We're going to give away what I call is life-changing money. So the grand winner is going to win $50,000 net. We're going to pay their taxes because that can buy a car, put a down payment on a condo, it can go back to school, whatever. It's life-changing money. And then we're going to have like 15 other winners that win anywhere from $10,000 to $1,000. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, we'll do this, So we got everyone on a Skype call, all 2,500 employees. We put our CFO in a phone booth with a zillion, little paper shards flying around and giving him razor burn cuts all over his body. Oh. And we got all kinds of silly, and we did dance and everything, and we picked these names, and it has revolutionized our company. I will tell you, people are in tears. I get letters from people saying how this changed their life, and the happiness factor of this, that people are so happy, is just off the chart.
Is this a monthly thing you're doing? Is this a weekly thing?
No,
a yearly?
We do it twice a year.
And how much money are we talking? How much money are you giving away there?
I think we're giving away about $80K plus taxes. But here's the thing that happens, and I learned this from Costco because they have one of the best retention for line staff is ever. I was talking to the Costco senior staff, and I said, well, how do you get, your turnover is like 18, 20%, your industry like 100%. How do you do that? And they go, we have a bonus structure that we give every 6 months. And so the guy gets his bonus, and he's, it's whatever, $5,000. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to quit the company. And it's like, man, but my visa, I could pay my visa. If I stay 5 more months, I could get my other bonus. And then he gets his other bonus. He's like, well, if I stay 5 or 6 more months, I could get this bonus. And so, now our people are thinking the same way. Our retention is the highest in our industry. Our industry's got horrible retention. It's like 300%. Our turnover is like 38, 40%. So it's minuscule compared to our industry. So we have people thinking about, oh, I'm going to stay longer. And every year you stay longer, you get another chance. So, our top people, their chances of winning the big lotto is like 1 in 150. I mean, it's incredibly good odds, compared to what a normal lotto is.
No, I've got 2 final questions for you there, because you're just making me too happy. My head's going to explode. It's too good. It's too good. So I have 2 final questions.
Lay it on me, baby. Lay it on me.
You are having some success now. How did you start? Like, where did you start? Were you a waiter? I mean, I worked at Applebee's, DirecTV, and Target simultaneously to kind of get my first business going.
Are you asking
how did you
where
start?
I started in like a beginning of my life, or where I started right when I started Aegis?
When you started Aegis, what did you do? Did you hit your head on the toilet seat? You draw the
No.
flex capacitor? You hit up some homies for some money? How did you get the money to start this big, bad, awesome operation?
I was executive vice president of a public company. And was the largest senior housing company in the world at the time. And I gave it all up, gave my stock options up, gave my great salary up, and found a partner who was in the construction business because that was my weakness. And, didn't know how to develop or build. And together we went out and we raised $22.5 million in 1997, 1998. Now, that may sound like, wow, that was a pretty easy start. Let me tell you, my salary was cut in half. We burnt through all that money. It came in 3 tranches. I think it was 10, 7.5, and 5. And we burnt through it all to the point we couldn't make payroll. And my son had just been accepted to UCLA. I had to use my son's college fund to pay payroll, and he didn't get to go to his college choices. Well, in-state tuition looks pretty good. Go to UW. And, we had in the first 3 years, some incredibly lean times because, it's a very capital-intensive business. We had buildings that were being built and 0 revenue coming in. So we had to hire hundreds of people, and it took us about 3 years to get the revenue to come in to offset, the millions of dollars that we put into building and operating these places. So that's how we started. About 10 years ago, I bought my partner out. It's family and friends that own the company now, and we give, phenomenal returns on our investment. We got almost 300 private investors whose, if you combine their net worth, it'd probably be about $25 billion.
Wow. Now you're doing well now. When did you graduate from high school? What year did you graduate from
78.
78, okay. So what music were you feeling back then? What music were you feeling?
Well, I just had my 60th birthday party, and ZZ Top played at my birthday party, so that's what I was feeling.
Really? So you were more of a rock guy?
Yeah, AC/DC, ZZ Top, those were my bands.
So right now,
still my bands.
Right now, so who's your favorite band or artist right now?
Well, a good friend of mine is Macklemore. Do you know Macklemore, the rapper?
Get out of here.
Yeah, is a good friend. We were just in Italy with him together, and he put on a concert in Lucca and had us on stage with him. So he's a good buddy.
Did you challenge him to a direct rap battle? You and Macklemore head to head?
I would never do that. Just like I wouldn't challenge Michael Phelps to swim 100 yards. So
really,
100 meters.
You ever tempted though? You ever have like itchy trigger finger? You're like, I'm going to challenge this guy to a rap battle. You never Dwayne had that thought?
No, not. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm horrible at. So not going to happen in my lifetime.
Hey, why don't you call up Macklemore and challenge him to a head-to-head luxury retirement living off?
Yeah, there you go.
See if we can keep up with you there.
if you want to know something funny, I love cars. He loves cars, and so he called me up one day and said, "Hey, I want to shoot my next video at your house." So there's a video. If you go online, he's got a song called Marmalade. It was shot at my house, and he used all my cars in the video. So all those cars you see in the video are mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me one more fun fact like that, because you know a lot of fun people. You just blew the listeners' minds right there at the end of the interview. Just give us one more hot take that only Dwayne Clark can give us.
Well, I think one of the things that comes with success is not only money; it's experiences. And so I had lunch with Bill and Hillary Clinton in May. And I mean, it was a lunch, and there was only maybe 10 people there. The chairman of Amazon, Eddie Vedder, and Bill and Hillary, my wife and I. There's like maybe a doctor, maybe 10 of us there. So for 3 hours, I got to ask Bill and Hillary anything I wanted. And I have a book coming out in September and Labor Day called 30 Summers More. And it's going to be sold on Amazon. And it's a book that I've written for the last 5 years with an MD about how to live a great long life. And so I was asking President Clinton, because I'd done a study called the President's Study. And I'd found that presidents had lived many, many years beyond what they were expected to live given their birthday. Some 20, 25 years longer.
Really?
And it's the most stressful job in the world. So you think, well, God, stress is supposed to kill you. How did you live this long? So I knew the answer because I'd done the research. I knew the answer to the question. And when I asked him, and he says, well, that's easy. It's purpose. Purpose is what lets us, because we do purpose not only when we're president, we do purpose long after, and it's what gets us out of bed every day. And that was the exact answer that I'd found doing this research. Now, an amazing statistic, and ironically, I brought it up with him, and he agreed wholeheartedly. I said, what do you think about vice presidents? He goes, well, they don't live as long. And I go, you know why, right? He goes, I know why. And again, he validated my research. And why vice presidents don't live as long is because they don't get credit for their accomplishments. They're always in the shadow. The president gets all the glory. So vice presidents are living, 15 years less than presidents.
Well, let me say this, Dwayne. Every time that my first business I started was a DJ company called DJConnection.com, and every time I opened up a CD, I thought of Tipper Gore because of the parental advisory sticker. And every time I turn on the internet, I think of Alvin Gore. So the Al's getting some love there. Now the other vice presidents, I don't give them a whole lot of credit. I probably should, but at least Al Gore's got some props from the Thrive Time show.
There you go. But I think the message to your listeners is, no matter how much money you have, no matter what you do, you got to have purpose all your life to the day you stop breathing.
Okay, well, Dwayne, I appreciate you for being on the show, and I'd encourage you to get Macklemore to do a rap when Bill Clinton's playing the saxophone. You could be playing the woodblock, and Howard Schultz can be, having that barista atmosphere that people need to jam out like that. You could make that happen.
There we go. That's a hell of a trio, I tell you.
Unbelievable. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You are a great American. I love your energy. I love what you're doing to respect people who are retiring and elderly and making sure that people have a luxurious experience at the end of life. They don't have to, stay in some ridiculous home center that treats people like third graders when they're adults who've contributed a lot. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Absolutely. I love your show, so keep it up.
Hey, take care. Zay, we like to end each and every show with a boom, but before we do that, can you give us one fun thing that happened on your recent vacation? Where did you go again?
Well, I learned how to windsurf. I went to Turks and Caicos. First time ever windsurfing. Have you THAT?
Okay.
There.
Thank you very much.
TURKS and Caicos. CAICOS. Turks and Caicos. It's an island in the Caribbean, just kind of east of Cuba and north of south of Bahamas.
South of the Bahamas.
And just kind of north and east of
You learned
Cuba.
to windsurf?
Windsurf.
What does that mean?
Well, you have a surfboard, and then it has attached to it a sail, and you stand on the board, and then you catch the wind, and you propel yourself vis-a-vis the wind while you're surfing.
I have audio of you windsurfing.
Yeah.
I'd like to cue it up. Is it okay if I do that?
Yes.
You're with a select group of friends, and a lot of times when you travel, you say, I want to be with people I can trust. I don't want to feel like I'm always being under surveillance. You know what I mean? We live in a culture now where people feel like everyone's recording everybody.
I know, cameras everywhere.
Privacy's been destroyed. And I said, what better way to welcome you into your 55th year on this planet than to get great audio of you without your permission and to play it on the show. So
I think it's very appropriate.
Now, this could be you, or Andrew might have given me the wrong file. I don't know. Andrew's always accurate. I might have grabbed the wrong file.
You might have.
Okay, so this file says Dr. Z in, how do you spell it again?
Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, I can't read it. Let me cue it up here. Let me see here. So it sounds like you're already at flight at this point.
The wind was blowing hard that day.
There's a lot of wind. Let me cue forward a little more. I think I got to the right spot here. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's really going. And then you're going up, and you're going up in the air. Is that what you're doing? You're watching the video. You're going up in the air higher. Is that what's happening?
No, that's parasailing.
So something must have gone wrong.
Something must have gone drastically
You're supposed
wrong.
to stay on the water.
Yeah, yes. The
and it
surfboard
looks like
stays
I'm
on
looking
the
at the
water.
video. Let me see if I can turn up the volume. This is Dr. Z being mic'd here while he's what do you call this?
It's surfing.
You're not supposed to go up in the air, and then all of a sudden it looks like you got a wrong gust of wind, and then there appears to be water, and the
Water everywhere.
Are you wetting your pants or what is?
Well, I was in the ocean.
That's unbelievable. It's
Unbelievable.
Wow, that is an impressive what I heard there.
Yeah, I got a lesson, and I went out and I did it, and it was pretty fun. If you haven't windsurfed, put that on your bucket list. It's kind of cool. It was cool.
This just in. It turns out that audio was not of you.
Oh, shocking. I'm shocked about that. Really, I am.
All right, my friend. It's now time for us to end the show with a boom.
Let's do it.
But before we do that, how do you spell? How do you even say it? How do you even say it?
Repeat after me. Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos?
Yes.
It sounds like a group of foreigners eating cake.
Well, that's exactly what it is. That's how they found the island, I think.
I can't.
Oh, goodness.
I can't stop. I love that sound effect. That just makes me, I want to hit all the sound effects now. I just want to hit this button, and then I want to hit this button, and then I want to come back.
I can hardly wait till we get back in our man cave and I have my own, because I feel like I'm left out of the party right now.
I'm sorry. Okay, now with any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!